All right, welcome back to the Conquest Battle Report. On this particular one, we are looking at a Nords versus Yoroni game. Now, this again, I haven't had well the time to do the long form. So essentially, we go through, play the game. I take pictures. I'm going to discuss what happened in the game, but it's not going to be exactly one of the super long. Let me straighten that camera a little bit there. That's better. It's not going to be one of the much longer ones where we go through and you do all the dice rolls. I'd still like to find a way to shorten that. I do prefer to do those ones. I find them enjoyable to do. Just been a little bit tough lately to be able to do them. But the other problem is, unlike some other games where you can really shorten it, since this is an I go, you go, I haven't found a good way to like shorten that down so it's not like the full game of 2+ hours. For this particular game, I think I played against a local friend of the show, Ernest. I don't think he's played in a little bit. And with Yoroni, I'm still learning them. So it's a little bit slower. So, I mean, the game was probably closer to 3 hours when it was all said and done. And also chit-chatting on all night. That doesn't make a good battle report. But hopefully this does. Actually, when I was getting ready to record this, I was reading somewhere, someone saying, hey, I haven't seen much stuff about like Yoroni type battle reports. I do want to do some other form of these. I also want to do some more First Blood ones. We have all that coming up. But honestly, some of the content has been a little bit lacking over the last week because I've been painting all these Yoroni. So I've been painting up all my different guys. I know this doesn't necessarily come out the best, but that's fine. You'll see them in the video. But I have painted almost completely the Chimera, not quite done yet. But I've painted almost completely all the rest of the stuff that Parabellum has sent me. I have ordered some stuff myself, so you should be seeing more as this goes along. Keep in mind, if you are looking to pick up anything for this faction or any of the new stuff coming out, we do know some Wadroon stuff's coming out in May. We know everyone's getting their cohort boxes in, the Wadroon stuff. Yeah, I think that's May. Cohort boxes, all that, I believe was June, as well with the Yoroni, the Genyu no Yokai and the Dai Yokai are coming out then as well. But if you're looking for any of that, we have a discount code below. Train Kickers saves you 10%, helps out the show, helps us be able to do all of this. For this particular battle report, like I said, we are going to go through and discuss what we ended up happening. We're going to go through list first. I'm going to go through mission, because remember to pull up the mission this time. Then I'm going to take you through and show you what happened. All right, let's go through the Nords list first. So I talked to Ernest about this. A lot of his point in this list was kind of just bring a variety of things he has, especially for things that he'd been working on in painting. So I think that's a theme, although I think parts of the theme work quite well. We sit at the bottom, so we'll go through a little bit of reverse order here for a moment. A Vargar Lord sitting in a Werewolves, which is a great combination, very fast moving, can get into someone's face very quickly. Gold tier Beast Pack, which I think are absolutely great. Fenrir Beast Pack, they provide a little bit of difference in what they do. I'm a bigger fan of the gold tier personally, but I think Fenrir obviously have a location. We have Blooded. He was in a unit of trolls, a little 3-pack of trolls. Personally, if you're taking trolls, I think you have to take them a little bit bigger, but that's just me. And I've seen them with great success in much larger sizes. Ogres. I know I said ogres weren't really that great. I still don't think that this is not that great in an army where most things are great, but I do think the ogres are good, and I do just like them. I think they have an absolutely great look as well. All right, and then we are being led by Konagir. Konagir has the God Spear, so that's giving him parry and cleave 2. So he's hoping to get them in a mixed up with the unit of Steel Chosen. Steel Chosen, I don't know, maybe because when I made that other list, they hadn't been quite out yet, but Steel Chosen, I'm a little back and forth on for what exactly they do, mostly because their defense isn't that great and their resolve's not that awesome, although the Konagir obviously helps with that. Linebreaker is nice. I'm not necessarily sure so much that they need it. They get the tribal tactics. I don't know if the tribal tactics came much into play, honestly. I'm not really sure he used them, and if he did, it didn't really do much. My apologies. I did check. Actually, the tribal tactic pick was direct assault, so that way the regiment counts as heavy for the purposes of inflicting wounds on objective markers. So that was, so that's the one he picked because Bow Chosen have War Brethren, so stands in the regiment, gain the benefit of the tribal tactic of the character stand, whose warband's a part of has selected. So that way they count as heavies for trying to take out objectives. So if they get within the half range, 7 inches, they can actually shoot down objectives. That's what it was. I do remember that because, hey, that's something that they do in this game. So he said he does have the Konagir, does take that spear on him, and he takes a nice Yonar. All right, so that was the 2K list I was facing. Overall, I like the the sort of theme of the list. I do like multiple units of bow chosen. Yes, they are expensive. I do think their shooting is quite good, and I do think, depending on what you run against or how you run them, I've absolutely had a unit of bow chosen absolutely wreck one of my Rakshasas because, hey, just rolled a bunch of ones. I'm on ones now. I don't really have much of a save kind of thing. So I think they give you something that this army is lacking otherwise. Steel chosen, I'm not too sure of. Maybe it's just based off of the things that I have. Linebreaker, yeah, can be great. Flurry is great. I'm a little bit surprised they don't have any form of cleave with the weapon sizes that they look like they have. But hey, not bad. I'm absolutely fine with them in general. And I think that Warband 3 is a very strong sort of pick. A very fast-moving, get into your face and hold me back. In general, I find Nords win games by scoring early, slowly dying, or sometimes quickly going away, but they hold you just long enough that you can't score back. All right, so we'll pull up my list. Now, putting it up a different way actually isn't any better. So I'll talk about the list here, and then we can go to another screen where I have some of the units to talk about. So we have a Daimyo. For this particular one, I was actually, Warlord was the Kitsune, but I have a Daimyo, nothing special on him. Modular regiment with 2 Kappa and an Oni. So the idea of that particular regiment is, Kappa are pretty strong with the Flurry and Cleave 1, and Oni in there for the turns when I need it. I can use the Sue card. 1, I can activate with any ideal, but if I use the Sue ideal, then I can swap to the Oni ability to get me that nice auto 11 charge, because they have Juggernaut then, and the extra attack. So on the turn when I'm really ready to kind of just rush into fight, great way to do it, because keep in mind, modular regiments don't have Unstoppable. And without an upgrade, usually the Daimyo is where I take that upgrade. Without an upgrade, you can't get it. It's one of the, I think it is a Fu upgrade, if memory serves. Yes, it should be a Fu upgrade. It's a Haragi Master. A little 2-pack of Oni. A 3-pack of 2 Oni and a Kami. The Kami is there to give a little trample at the end, and to essentially be a nice little wound soak for these sort of guys. Little 2-pack of Kami. I like that one for going to sit on objectives, being a little bit later, or just holding someone up because they're at least on defense 4. So a little bit more survival stuff you have. And a little 2-pack, nice and maneuverable. We had a Kitsune Bakatsu for Warlord with Kanushi Dancer. So I'll pull up in a moment what that does. Let me get through the rest of the list and I'll pull up what that does to explain it. Little 3-pack. One thing I will say with the output of this is a 3-pack, 240 points. It originally listed Kami Kami. The way the builder works right now, if you print the list like this, if you tell it just to output a text file, which honestly is the better form, because the other way doesn't really work that great, I don't think. But when you put it this way, it will list leader and other stands. So when it is, say, just 2, leader, other stands. Hey, leaders are Kami, other stands are Kami, but you have to look and note it's the 3 to know that really means there's 2 Kami. That's why I put the ×2. Same thing with the Tengu Akahashi. Doesn't normally have that. Little 2-pack of Origami Warriors. Their only goal is to get in something's face, hopefully die, get the lethal hits back, but to essentially charge in, move charge, and just stop someone up. Hopefully do some damage to them, but here's a throwaway unit that I can get something out of, even if you're the only person who gets to swing. Kitsune Enemy. The point of this was to just try out some casting. Last time I played them with some casters, I didn't use a single spell. I wanted to try out some spells this particular time. And I took 3 Tengu Akiashi for her to go stand in, and the Daiokai. I put Daiokai. Yes, I did take a Daiokai in this particular list. My other list, I took a Genya no Yokai. I still overall prefer the Genya, but I wanted to try the Daiokai to see what do I think of it, to see whether or not I think it's worthwhile. I want it to be. I let upgrade. So here's the Kitsune. Notice a few things about her. She's 8 attacks. She's on Clash 4. She has Deadly Blades. So if you roll a 6, you take 2 wounds. And, her Discipline. So keep in mind the way disciplines here work. You have to have a character of that type. Then you unlock 1 buy of that type for any of them. So Daimyo is Ka. Ka is unlocked. I take Kanushi Dancer. Each time an enemy regiment fails a defense roll against a character with this upgrade, the wound inflicted count as 2 for the purpose of testing morale. So 15 points, she's 8 attacks. Every time you fail a defense, you're going to take 2 resolves. Now, one thing, I didn't end up doing it this way. I think one time we did, but I was back and forth on this. With Deadly Blades, so Deadly Blades is if you roll a 6, it suffers 2 wounds. So with this, you fail to roll, the wound inflicted. Now, normally you only ever inflict 1 wound with a thing. This Deadly Blades inflicts 2. So does that mean a 6 counts as 4? Because is it per wound? That's the way I feel, but I don't know. Maybe it has been FAQ'd yet. I would still like to see that discussed just to clear up for sure, because I don't want to be doing more than I should. But I absolutely love that upgrade on her because it turns her into a blender. Yes, if someone has super good saves, maybe not quite so much, but even then, they happen to roll some 6s, they roll some bad dice, they're going to take a good amount of resolve as well. So that's overall the particular list. Just to make sure people remember for the Daiokai, this one gets a free duel. It has the special action, much like the Archangel. I paused there for a second. I couldn't remember the name. Archangel. A little bit different. That one like charges and hits you. This one runs over you and gets to do an attack. We'll look at it, but I didn't end up using that. I really should have. I kind of forgot that it had that thing, but I'm not too sure about that. But it does have Vanguard, which is very nice. Unstoppable, which if you're not a modular unit in this army, you do get unstoppable. Like I said, for the Oniami spells, just to talk about them briefly. Iron Soul Discipline, you get Unyielding. Very nice. Reroll your 6s on defense. Blossom of the Wind, your opponent gets at most 2 actions. Depending on what you go against, very, very strong. Hesitation, Bane of Deeds. Someone's going to shoot that unit, you're Tenacious 2. Very strong. And Misery of Failure Envisioned, -1 to the resolve. So again, very good, especially if you can combo those sort of things. For the other main ones, just discuss them really briefly. Kami Nothing Special, Trample 2. Caplay said Cleave, Flurry. Oni, Cleave 2. And for the Akiashi, they are 4 shots a pop, 14-inch range, armor piercing, 1 rapid volley, so the ones get you extra hits. And since that's all it is, hey, they get some Tenacious and they get Vanguard. With 14-inch range, that means they're going to get some shots that first turn. All right, so that is that. Let's take a look at the mission real quickly. For the mission, we randomly rolled, and it was Scenario 6 off balance. So 2 9-inches, 2, if I'm, say, player 1, 2 friendly objectives A, 2 opponent objective markers B, and 4 points for taking out a marker, 2 points for taking objective zone, another 2 if you get another 2, of course, or another 1. 1 extra if you got both of them, and 2 more for Warlords at the end. Can't score it more than once per game. All right, so that's the particular mission we're going at. Now, let's get to the game. All right, so here's how the tracker is going to work. My victory points are victory points. His victory points are going to be Fallen Pantheon, and we're going to mark the rounds. So, round 1. Depending on the round, some rounds I took pictures during, some I took more at the end. Like round 1, the picture's essentially at the end, because what's going to really happen round 1. All right, round 1 now. He comes in with 3 lights. I only have 1 light, and hey, we get everything in. So all of our lights end up showing up. I ended up winning. You'll notice on the side a few times, there's a little marker over here. That little marker going back and forth tells us who actually won the round. So who gets to actually start the round and everything like that. So this particular time, it was on me. All right, he pushes his units up as far as he can. We were playing these, obviously. Most of it is tree stuff. Some of it was just difficult. It doesn't really matter for his side because he gets to ignore most of it. So especially in this friendly game, I try to give him a bit of an advantage on that. Like, I'll put this down. It kind of hampers me more than him. You see our 9-inch objective zones. We can see our 4 markers. These are actually, I printed them from the Sorcerer King's STL files that I have, that I picked up a while back. So he pushes the Vargers forward. I ended up having, I made him go first. Like I said, he pushes Vargar, I push. So what I did for this, I don't have them next to me, but maybe I should get them real fast. just to make sure it's clear how I've actually done this. So what I did is there's files of the base inserts. Took a base insert. I used, it wasn't Blender. I actually used a different program. And I overlaid it with text. So that way, hey, Oni, for all the spares I have. Obviously, the issue we have right now is not everything is out. So you're a little bit short on some stuff. So I end up using this to be able to fill in. So when we take a look, over here, this is a unit of Origami Warriors. It might be hard to see, but it does say Origami Warriors on there. So I know this isn't necessarily ideal for the moment. It will get better as we actually start having some of these units. A bunch of them coming out May and then June for the rest. I personally feel, at least right now, even if I had enough of the rest of the stuff, I don't like the list until I get some monsters and all. This is just another angle to see the same thing. He was loading on his Bow Chosen, but we had 2 units of Bow Chosen. They're sitting in some woods, going to make it a little bit tough. His goal, as we discussed, he's looking at being able to smack down these particular objectives and do any sort of damage onto me that he needs to. Since they're light, they're not really going to grab this for him, but he can take out the markers instead of just hitting the zones. All right, so that's our first turn. We go into turn 2. No one scored anything first turn, of course. Go into turn 2. All right, so a few things happen here on turn 2. All right, so this first one, as we see, he ends up winning the initiative, so it's on him. He ends up pushing up his units of Bow Chosen. The idea being, 1, they're 14-inch range, be able to get some shots. 2, to maybe be able to have a nice sort of line here that I have an issue getting through. And that way he can start firing into me. Also, it's getting him close enough to be able to actually hit these objective markers, so that way he can destroy them. Keep in mind that the Bow Chosen, because of the particular mastery here, well, not mastery, but essentially that rule, that they get to count as heavy, so they'll be able to do 2 wounds per shot. So they can actually take these things down pretty quick. What ends up happening on this side is that his Vargar unit does move forward quite a bit. Not too huge, but to be able to get themselves on this objective a little bit here. So I was hoping that would happen, because then these Origami Warriors, their only goal was a move charge in. This is actually, I believe, the only unit in the army that does not impact is the Origami Warriors. But they did exactly what I wanted. They got into the Vargar's face, and that keeps the Vargar from getting a nice free charge on my triple Kami, but Kitsune Bakatsu, because that's what this unit is. One thing I will say, having now played with this army multiple times, is that yes, it really does help that you can kind of activate when you want. It makes it kind of a hassle to figure out who's coming in when. But when you start going, as soon as he moved those Vargars up, then I immediately just went with the Origami, because I knew that's what they wanted to do. They were going to do anyway. He's already went, so they don't really need to wait for the Mew card or anything like that. They ended up taking the Mew card because I went somewhat early with it. It was rightfully timed. But that part didn't matter. The only ones I care about on this particular turn getting their cards, I do want... so I did activate the Kami with Chi. It didn't really matter because no one's really going to be able to hit them, but that's fine. Not because of where I put them in and where the Bow Chosen were. I absolutely want it for my Tengu, because I want the extra move, because with that extra move, I might be able to get into range to shoot. For this particular one, didn't. I ended up being able to get it to get a bit of extra move into this to get to a good position, but I don't believe I actually shoot at all. It'll be very clear to see in the next picture. The other thing you'll notice is I have the Oni and double Kappa pushing up here right next to them. They are out of range. They don't have the 11. It's like a 12 or a 13, so they're a little bit too far away to be able to get it. But I do try to position them so that way I'm not at least walking right over that difficult terrain. A little bit of a more, let me erase those things, a little bit of a more forward so you can kind of see it a little bit better of what's going on. Like I said, between these two, we're within 14, but outside of the 11 here, so it's about a 12 or a 13 between us. So they're going to have to move charge if they want to get to them. But I'm now standing in this, which means I can shoot through, see them. They might not want to shoot into me. So I got to the position I want, even though I necessarily didn't get to do exactly what I wanted. Oh, sorry. Actually, I did. I thought this was in the following turn. That's what it was. So if we pull back, I only played this yesterday, but I can tell you right here. So let's think about the Tengu for a second. They're move 7 base. They have Vanguard 4, so now they're 11. And then if they're acting on a Fu, 2 extra inches on the first move, so 13 inches. This distance here is 13 inches. Since these guys are naturally on 3s, it means them shooting can do still a decent job even on the turn they come in. That means essentially threat range of 27 inches. In his goal to be able to hit these objective markers, he did push within that. And since he pushed within that, as you can see here is the time when I shot them. I did take my shots from these Tengu into here. One thing I didn't realize until a little bit later, you'll see it pop in, is that the Kitsune Aniyami should be in this unit. She will show up. Her shots did absolutely nothing, so it didn't matter she wasn't there. But in this particular die roll, most of the dice are actually correct over here. It's a little bit hard to see, but I ended up rolling, one of them must have turned. I rolled 4 1s. So we're at 4, 6, 12, we're at 13 dice. I rolled 4 1s. Our 1s are double, so there's 8 alone and a few more. So he had to take, like 12 or 13 hits. Unfortunately for him, they are on 2s, yes, but he failed pretty much all of them. This unit then has 1 wound on it, but he took 11 wounds out of about 13. So luck was not on his side for that particular spot. They are AP1, but these guys have evade 2, so that part didn't matter. It was just, hey, it's a game of dice. Sometimes the dice aren't on your side. That's why you see the ones over here. This is essentially the dead pile. And then for a little bit later in the turn, other stuff that ends up happening. We see that now he ended up using just the back edge for all of this. He has his gold tier, move up as much as they can. Fenrir's move up as much as they can. Keep in mind they actually have some Vanguard. I think it's Vanguard 3. And then we have the Steel Chosen with the Konagir pushing up the middle. We now have a unit that can go and score this objective. So his goal, go smack this objective down. He has multiple things to try to overwhelm what I have here. Yes, he'll take some damage from the Origami Warriors, but it shouldn't be too tough to actually take down. And then it becomes a sort of back and forth. Even if I take something out, he should have enough to be able to take me out. And then I try to push a little bit more for the middle. Early, my goal is just to try to maybe not have him score too much, because let's face it, they can score quite a bit. So I'm trying to avoid that as best I can. I don't want to fall too far behind. But honestly, also, the objective zones, I don't care. The objective markers, I don't care about yet. That's a concern for later on in the game. They're worth 4 points whenever you destroy them. So I just have to make sure at some point when he starts getting his spots, I kind of keep a play at least enough to maybe not let him have both objectives every single turn until I'm ready. At least I try. All right, so we still scored nothing because it's all light sitting on those particular units, on those spots. That's the end of turn 2. We go to turn 3. All right, so turn 3. All right, so this turn, you can't quite see the marker. I win initiative this round. So here's a little of interesting things that happen in this game that's different when you're playing Yoroni versus another army. When you're playing another army, so in the last round, you can sit and say, okay, do I have advantage? Do I have disadvantage? Oh, I won it last time, so I'm more likely to go second if he really wants to. And turn 3, 4, or 5 is really where you want to have that choice. And usually you want to end up going first. But if you're behind, you're now under that 50-50. A reasonable amount under. It's fairly likely the other player will end up going first. Which for another army means, here's the obvious choices that we probably want to do first. But I'm probably going second because they have the advantage. So do I put my hopeful first card first, or do I put my second card first? The next thing that would happen. Because the last thing you want is they want it, boom, they do too much to this unit, whatever it is. That unit swings back, doesn't really do much, or is very ineffective for whatever reason. And now you go to the secondary choice, and they get their secondary choice first. So sometimes you say, well, you know what? I'll make that suboptimal decision because I'm probably going to lose the first round, or being the first player, I should say. So then I want to make sure whatever I do is the best it can be from there. Yoroni don't quite have that problem. Now, it does matter if you truly need the particular card for the activation. I said that previous round, the Tengu were going off the Fu no matter what. But in other rounds, it doesn't matter quite so much. Certain things matter, but not all of them. So you can adjust on the fly. I ended up winning to go first. So I did actually stack this Mew card first. If he went and blew these guys out, then I was probably just going to have the Tengu use it and shoot, either plink into this unit, they're in range, or maybe try to finish these guys off. That was the sort of next thought. But what ends up happening is that I do take it, the Origami Warriors that are over here, they swing in and they actually do take out one of the Werewolves. Oh, you know what? I just realized. Let me check something. When he goes, he misses the Werewolves regeneration. I just thought about it now. I completely forgot at the time they have regeneration. I don't play Nords, and I don't play against Nords so often, but I forgot until thinking about it right now that they have regeneration, because I do take down a stand. And the thought is, okay, if I take down a stand, and then he swings into me, maybe I'll probably go away, but then maybe I'll take another stand with me. Now there's only a few for when the Kami, the 3 Kami with the Kitsune Bakatsu want to push in. But completely forgot that. That's okay. It happens. No perfect game of any war game has ever been played. There's always a mistake, something missed, something mismoved, whatever it may be. So I do that first. What he goes first is a unit of Bow Chosen. What he does with this unit of Bow Chosen is they fire into the double Kappa Oni unit. I explained to him into Tengu is probably not a good idea. You're going to be losing some shots. I have Tenacious 1. Fire in here, see what you can do. He ends up taking 5 out of 6 wounds down. So still have this, but rather injured on this particular stand. So that ends up happening there. Oh, sorry. I try to pause, but the thing I use to write on the screen, I had to click back to the mouse to actually be able to do the pausing. The Tengu actually now, this time, fire into this larger unit, because my thought is, okay, they're one stand. I have some other stuff coming in. I'll worry about that later. I do end up shooting there. I do about 3 wounds. So I don't remove a stand. 3, maybe 4, but I don't remove a stand. He shoots in, doesn't quite remove a stand. So our super crazy dice of before have now kind of evened out a little bit. So that's where we are at this particular picture, where we are pretty early in the round. Let's go to the next part of the round. All right, so things that we see happen. I said, unfortunately, he completely forgot that he has regeneration because he could have got one back. But he swings. He does a total of, I want to say it was about 5 or 6 wounds on the hit. I lose another couple. And I think it was 5 on the hit, a couple wounds on the resolve. But it's enough to take down one of his guys. He just didn't have the good dice rolls in that particular spot. So he's down to 2. I got 1 Origami with a total of 2 wounds left alive. I do now have a charge lane here, and there is enough space to swing, although that puts me right in line with the Beast Pack. This would be an auto charge in for the Beast Pack. They're within like 8 inches. I think it's like 7 inches to that point. So he does swing back and do that. Other things that happen as we go along, that I actually believe was the next thing that he did. One of the next things I did is I took this Oni double Kappa and push them forward. What I like about this is his other unit, he does put them to go grab on the objective because they're a little bit far, I think, to be able to get a good charge. Might have still done that, but he wouldn't have been able to swing. So I think he thought better of getting them stuck in, and now here's a better target I can swing at. Instead, let me take this down and charge it instead, or charge next round. Issue, I think that occurred. This gap is very, very small, and he's overlapped, which means, unfortunately, he can't actually do a charge right now until this unit is gone, because he will cross in front, and you're not allowed to do that. Remember, if a unit is engaged, this whole thing here, the fact that we are engaged, neither of us are allowed to touch this, and he gets too close. Something to keep in mind if you're playing this, watch your charge lanes, watch where you position yourself. You don't want to stand too close to someone, because if I charge them, then you're kind of stuck. This one stand of Bow Chosen, that gets a count as heavies for firing at an objective. Hit this objective marker, do 2 wounds to it. So it's got 1 wound left. I bring in the double pack of Oni with the cheat card, just in case something would happen to them. Not that anything should, but did want to be able to do that. You notice in this turn 3, I got a couple of my units in, still missing a few. You'll see some more of his stuff come in. He at this point, I think, actually got everything in. He might have had one thing. I had a couple things still out. I had my my daimyo with his unit, and the 2-pack of Oni are still. Sorry, those are the Oni. With that, it was the Kappa, the 2-pack Kappa are out. Actually, in the game, I did that backwards as well at first. One thing I've learned with these guys when you're playing them, because the cards aren't truly assigned, but they're assigned when you decide to bring units in. So what I do is I put the cards next to the guys, roll, decide who's coming in, and that way, if a card has been pulled, I know those are the units that get to come in next. Because originally, I did this backwards. I said, oh, it's a chi card. Oh, that would be my kami. And I said, wait, no, there's a chi card over there. It was the Oni just taking this card because of timing. The chi was actually coming from this other kami unit that didn't end up taking it because this unit was delaying as much as possible. Okay, so what we noticed then, a few more things that end up happening. A little bit hard to see maybe. The units of Uyghurs come down here. There's not enough space around this giant Dweg piece to go by 3s, so we went by 2 by 1. My Daiokai pushes forward. It has, Vanguard 3, takes a Fu card, moves 7, so this thing's, 19 inches up the board. 19, because 7, 7, 3, 2. So it can move quite far. It is touching this terrain, but gets a nice move. I put this off to the side. This went first. He put the Uyghurs later. I went off to the side because my thought was, 1, he might put something opposite me, which he did. The other thought is, what they can do, it can swing around, take this down in 1 turn, and then it can push for the objective, push for anyone along the side, or just be a deterrent. It actually came out reasonably early in the round is where I put that. As you can see, he pops his Ice Jotnar. The Ice Jotnar ends up being a little bit too far to end up casting, but he's got himself in a really good position there. Let's go to the next thing. So I was delaying as long as possible for the charge here. I end up doing that charge, as you can see. So there was 2 werewolves, a werewolf and a leader. They're now gone. The Kitsune Bikatsu with the dance upgrade she's just a blender. I think I rolled her first. She took them out. No concern there. But he does come in afterwards to do some swings. You can see some dice back there. This is for his actual roll. For the gold tier, we see that their goal is to go push onto this objective. I know he does damage to me. It must be in the next picture. There it is. Sorry, so 2 from now. This is just showing different angles of the same exact thing. So over here now you can see on the far right side the Uyghurs facing off the Daiokai a little bit better. And I said, I won the round. So now we can see the damage done. I take a total of 11. Takes 12 to take down 2 stands, but I take a total of 11. Fenders have flurry. They're like on 3s, so decent numbers. I rolled really bad defense. For the numbers I had, pretty bad defense. The fact that I'm on 4s, I missed like 6 or 7. And then I rolled another 3 to 4 on that resolve. And I'm on a good resolve too. So dice on that side. Our dice we've hit very well. Neither of us have really been saving very well, as you can see. So they're in it. They're stuck in. I was going very back and forth on that, but I didn't want those werewolves to eat through and then you can come into the side of this kami unit. Because, there's only 2 wounds left. Don't even inspire. Just hit them, then charge in. And then I could have all this, the 3-pack of gold tier, the 3-pack of Fenrir hitting this unit. They will not survive all of that. So I figured instead, I'll be a bit more of the aggressor there. But we notice the one thing that is happening. He's on that objective. He's on this objective. He's got 2 compared to my 1, and so on. So that means at the end of round 3, he's at 5, 2 for each objective, 1 because he's got more than 1 objective. All right, we go to round 4. All right, early round 4, I, again, actually win initiative. My plan going into this particular round, what I wanted to see happen, I know that in the middle of the board here, where I have my double Kappa Oni, yes, I can kill this. yes, I can charge into this and hopefully do some damage into it. It will get me within range. Probably already in range now after his moves, but so be it. What I want to have happen, if I can do it, what I was looking at was, well, hey, these guys, what could they shoot at? If they shoot here and they end up taking out this Bochosen piece, which you'll notice he ends up, the first picture was after he went with Bochosen first. I went with, obviously, this unit to the far left. I went with my Kami unit so that way they could eat the Fenrir Beast Pack, and they did. He went with the Bochosen to be able to take out that objective, because now he's at his best shot to get it, and he absolutely does. When I'm going back and forth, okay, do I shoot here? If I do, a move charge is enough for this double brick of Oni to hit here. Then I'm on the objective. And two of them survivable enough. So that's at least initially what I'm thinking of wanting to try and do. Let's see what actually did happen. So, like I said, I did go over here first. He went down here next. Let me go back to be able to show it a little bit better. What I do next, I do actually end up having this unit go. They swing, hit, charge in here, do a decent amount of wounds. You'll notice he loses several stands, but then he goes with his Ice Jotnar. His Ice Jotnar is in perfect position to slam into me and utterly obliterates the 2 Kappa Oni. That's why they're no longer there in the middle. Absolutely got wrecked. But this unit, though broken, hasn't actually gone yet. So he's got a little bit of time with them. As I maybe Still Chosen just aren't all that I like personally. They're not bad, but okay. So let's go a little further on. One thing I should make it's clear from this picture over here. The Origami Warrior used to be here on the far left. It is now gone because they charged it, held onto it. So essentially they charged, destroyed it, and then he just positioned himself to hold it. You can't double charge. This is really what he wanted to do. Realistically, after that, because he didn't have to swing at it. Oh, wait, no. Actually, he did have to swing. That's what it was. That's why he didn't get the reposition. I remember that. I said, oh, I can just pull him. You'll take 2. He's like, no, let's roll. Let's see what happens. And when he did his impacts, I actually only took 1. So he had to actually swing. That's the reason why the gold tier beast pack couldn't reform and so not show me their flank, essentially. That's what it was. We are in a position where we do see each other here. So whoever gets it first absolutely matters. And then these guys got blown out. All right, so a little bit later in the round, now we're round 4, I do get the rest of my units in. So the Daimyo with his pack is here. I put them towards the middle because the Ice Jotnar is going to be a problem. I know he could absolutely blow up these Tengu if he wants. He could go and sit there on terrain. That's going to make it much worse when I come in. He does have the attacks to be able to eat this up, but who gets it first kind of thing. And because I feel I might need the extra support here for the other objective marker, I put my 2-pack of Kami down on the far left. Their goal is just to get here. If they can move charge to hold them up, that's fine. And then this unit can swing around to the side. So that's a thought on there. You'll notice on the far right side that his Ugars do move forward. I think that was a mistake personally. He gave me a auto free charge. I don't think you want to do that. I'm not sure he could have move charged me, but if not, if I was him personally, I would have stayed back, make me move charge, and then go early enough with the Ugars. The Ugars can absolutely hurt the Daiokai. But if you move forward enough and you get me a auto charge and attack, I'm pretty decent. Yes, they have Oblivious, they have Fearless, so that helps. But their defense isn't that great, and I'm Cleave 1. So that part I'm not entirely sure of. And you notice the in the back, you have the Troll unit. So you have those coming in with the, what is it with them? Yeah, the Blooded. That's why I checked. That's why I thought it was, but I wanted to be sure. All right. So just kind of showing a little bit of a different angle from most of this. A few things that you will notice. Some stuff that ended up happening. This double pack of Oni does go in and takes out that last stand of Bochosen. Not exactly the play I wanted. but it's the play I needed to do. So they go in, do that for me. Mostly because actually what I ended up doing with the Tengu is they fire into this unit to end up getting some extra damage onto it. Not enough to take it out, but after the hit and that, a good bit more injured. I do take them out with the Oni. That gets me in a good spot the following turn to start grabbing points, although still not grabbing points now. What you can see on the far right side is that I do have the Daiokai here, charge these Ogres, and when it's all said and done, I take out 2 stands. That should just about do it for this particular turn. Yes, it does. So, again, he scores more points. So he was on 5. He took down objective marker for 4, and he has both objective zones for another 5, so he gets an extra 9, so he's at 14. So 14 to my nothing. And we move on to turn 5. What I will say is this marker is wrong at the end of the round. We forget to mark it to turn 6. So right now it is 5, but we'll get to turn 6 and completely forgot to actually push that marker. At this point, though, is where the game maybe starts getting a little bit out of hand. And part of it always does depend on who goes first. I think that made a very big difference here. I end up taking it this particular round. And so the Bakatsu is my leader. Her ability is she's Fu. So the once per round, I can replace the Fu ability with Reform. I choose this round to use her ability that, hey, anyone activating a Fu gets the Fu bonus. And I wanted that now double Kami Bakatsu to go first, Reform, smack into the side. That way I can get the damage into them. Did I actually have to reform? No, my apologies. Did I actually reform with them? No, I had a swing, so I don't think I reformed this particular round. I did choose it, but I don't think I ended up using it because I saw them. But I did choose to use it this turn, so I'd have that particular positioning. What you notice with that unit of Steel Chosen, he does push them forward. He does obliterate that 2-pack of Oni, just with those little bit, because Akone Gear still has a lot of attacks. Absolutely takes me down there. So the little 2-pack did its job, but then gets blown out. We're still looking at then later round. We're looking at him with his Jotnar. He has his troll unit. He has his Ogres, but he is starting to run out of units. And the fact that I can bring little 2-packs does help me just keep at least my activations up. Okay, what we see happen here then, the Ice Jotnar, I kind of think did made a mistake. It does get out of line of sight of these, although you will notice the Tengu, but you will notice that those Tengu ended up shooting and taking out the Steel Chosen. Mostly, he goes earlier than the Tengu go. I ended up activating off a Kala card because I could have gone for Fu, but didn't necessarily use it or need it for the moment. And I'm worried about those things in front because, hey, if they hit this Tengu unit, the Tengus are probably gone. One thing I haven't said yet for the Kitsune Oniami, her spells didn't help me that much. I did at least one round on that double Kappa Oni unit. I did give them the reroll 6s on defense. It helped a little bit. And I've done a little bit of other stuff, but I think the Mahatsu's spells might be better. But I like her in general, but I just didn't feel the spells were so meaningful. Maybe it's just the way I was playing. But the reason I say I feel there's some of a mistake with the Ice Jotnar is he does a move charge. And importantly, my unit has not gone yet. Now, had they already went, I was in probably the move charge range, but just get some impact. Then he could have swung. I don't know if I really want to do that. But when he does the move charge, he does do 4 wounds. He actually did do quite a bit with the impact. I didn't roll that great based off the number of impacts that it has. But his issue that he runs into is that now I still get the swing. Like I told him later, I think the better play, hit the Tengu, blow them up. You are standing on this terrain. I'm going to have to come in. I'm going to lose all my impact. I'm not going to have any inspired. Yeah, I'm still scary. But sooner or later, if you're going to have to fight this, that's the better way to fight it. And then on your next turn, hopefully you get activation first. If this thing swings into this unit, I'm going to lose a lot of them. He's got a good amount of swings. He's like cleave 3. I'm on 1s. I'm going to take a bunch of damage. I don't remember if he's terrifying or not. Yeah, I just checked. He's terrifying as well. So he'll take damage, but survive. He'll swing back. I'll be down quite a bit. It might end up being mutual annihilation near the end or pretty near it, but he could have taken out the Tengu and absolutely wrecked this unit and a decent shot at maybe taking it out. We notice the Daiokai takes out the last Uger. It went before the Uger went because I didn't want to take the damage. And I push forward. Keep in mind, there's an objective marker right back here. Plan is to go hit the objective marker, then go for the objective. That was always the goal there. The gold tier I end up taking out early, like we said. I am not on the objective, but now the point for these three, hey, go take out this objective marker. These two kami can go push the objective. So that's sort of the plan of what I have. He does push his trolls up. At this point, I mean, he doesn't really have much left, so it's kind of, you just do it to do it kind of feel. But he does score points that particular round where I don't. You'll notice through a lot of this, I really wasn't scoring. Actually, sorry, this is the first round I actually score some points. So I do finally start getting points on the board. This is actually turn 6. That's why I'm at 2. He's at 16. When we go into the next turn, though. So, apologies. Showing. There we go. Here's another little bit of a misplay. And again, I'm hopefully, I don't make it sound like I'm saying, hey, he did all these things wrong. That's not the intention. I'm also hopefully trying to point out, or at least near the end, I will point out things I like that I did and things I didn't do. I think I absolutely mismanaged her spells. I think that could have done a lot more for me. I did that very poorly. I think waiting to try and get the right cards sometimes did cost me certain pieces. But I do think overall I had a decent plan. I do think pushing the Tengu as far as I did, I think I really could have gotten punished for that. And in other games I have. He just ended up not quite doing that. But again, that different priorities of what he did. But I think I absolutely could have lost them. When you lose shooting in this list, or you have none, or they have a little bit more shooting, you can absolutely get damaged greatly. He essentially pushes this unit, their goal to sit in the middle and just to tank it. Now, he wins the initiative. He actually essentially chain activates, blooded, and these trolls hangs out. What I end up doing next then is, obviously I shoot. And I do take a wound down, a stand down. Like I tell him, you have regen 6. So what you really want to do, you want to slow play that. 1, if you win it, give it to me. It matters more against other armies, because in this one, until they go, the bows are going to wait. But the shooting unit in another army is probably carded to go pretty early, which means you want to slow play it so that we can get that stand back. The other thing he could have done, we talked about it, but just to kind of finish up the game, he actually had to go to work right after this. He could have charged in, absolutely obliterated these guys, but then he stopped scoring points. And the Daiokai now can start rotating around to get me the points. The problem is there wouldn't be quite enough turns left. He just kind of hung out. Could he have absolutely went down there and destroyed them? Yes. These guys would have probably charged into their side. It would have been a back and forth for a while, but I would have had at least 3 rounds of holding both objectives. So that's at least the 15 points there, which with the few I had before, blasting this objective marker, and over 3 turns, they will absolutely take down this objective marker. It will be enough to take it. But I do think that is something that actually could have been done and just wreck them. As we see here, I rotate, turn around. I don't charge in this particular round, but that gives me 8, 9, 10 to take it down. That won't be a problem with the amount of attacks and all that I end up having. So at this point, we essentially call the game. Because as you'll see what happens, I don't know if we took a picture of the last bit. No, I didn't. What ends up happening at the end, in turn 7, it's a double move to get this big brick here. And then the following round, when they go, they're within the 11. That's an auto charge. It's enough attacks, they take them out. And then I'm able to sit on the objectives for turns 8, 9, 10. So there's 15 off of that. This particular round I was getting 2. So I do end up taking it. The end score... Oh, sorry, yeah, there it is. We did take a picture of it. So I pop both the objectives. There's 8 points. For 3 rounds, I'm sitting on both of these. I had a few points before, and we end up the score of, I think it was 23 for me, and he was at 18. So points-wise, it was close, and it's definitely close for one reason. Multiple reasons, but one reason for sure is the fact that, hey, Nords score early. Nords are great at screening you back, pushing their light units forward, keeping you off the objectives, making you have to fight these actually good units. And then your mediums pop on, start scoring you points, and then push forward. So they're very good at doing that. I know my list would score a little bit later. My main goals going in, he can take one objective marker. I can't let him get both. Because 8 and knowing he'll score a bunch of these is going to get very, very tough to overcome. So I'm trying to protect one of them. When his bow chosen got down 2 wounds here, I said, okay, I got to protect the red one then. I got to try to keep that one up. It's close to his line, but hey, if I can do enough, maybe I can keep it around. And I end up doing so. Putting my birds to the middle, absolutely loved. The Aniami, she's fine. I don't know. I had to try her more and try to get the spells to work. Daiokai felt okay, but again, Yokai still feels a lot better to me personally. He should have went towards a character, yes. But if they're not broken, they're just going to probably decline the duel anyway, because why would you want to duel that thing? And I don't know, it feels like compared to what the rest of the army does, I don't feel, at least for the moment, and I haven't played enough games with it, I've played 1 game with it, I don't feel the moment for what it does that's what I need. Like, that's what I'm lacking. The Genyu no Yokai with, hey, gets all these bonuses. And, it has the same Vanguard thing. Oh, and it's also Cleave 3. Oh, it's also Terrifying. That gives me something that this way I don't have to take like tons and tons of Oni to get. I can take some other options. For the Daiokai, I'm not sure yet if I feel it does enough. It's not bad. But for my purposes, for the way I'm building the list, I kind of like the Genyu no Yokai more, but I don't mind the Daiokai. I did enjoy what it did. So list-wise, thoughts. Okay, so let's, there you go, paused for a moment so I could swap over to this. When there's notice, curl up a little bit more, there we go. All right, the Kappa, so Daimyo, I absolutely love. Normally, I like to put Haragi Master on him with the way I've been taking it, but that's okay. And what I've realized is I've been doing a lot of Haragi Master, which is the unstoppable in a 10-inch bubble around him for, I don't know, let's say it's 20 points. I could look in a second. Actually, I can look. Let's be accurate with the things that we say. It costs, let me go to the Daimyo, let me go to the disciplines. Yeah, Haragi Master, 20 points to give unstoppable bubble. Yes. Although, if I take a bunch of Oni units, they don't care, because they have Juggernaut. And if I take a Kappa Oni, like I did here, I can activate with a Su card. And honestly, Su cards are kind of garbage unless you have the Kappa unit. The Aniami brings one as well. I know one of the other characters does. I don't think it's the Geisha. I think it's the Mahatsu, or one of them brings another Su card. It doesn't really matter which one. But, oh no, sorry, they don't. Because the Aniami brings it. So it's the Kappa and her. But they'll go with the Su card, and I can give them the Juggernaut. So 11-inch charge. So it's when I need it 11-inch charge. I think that's better. What I will say is I have found for this army, you run out of points real fast because stuff is very points-wise expensive, and there's not a lot of spots you can spend little bits. If you take the Damaru, the Mashi, yeah, they're 40 points a stand. Okay, you got some play there. Origami Warriors are 60 points a stand. So you get a little bit of play there. But you kind of, you get to the point where you have a little bit left over for upgrades, or try to squeeze in one extra stand of something, and it gets a little tough. So I found with this, like, I didn't have the points. I took a 3-pack of Tengu because I couldn't fit in 2 2-packs, and I only have 3 of them painted. They're you saw them in the battle report. They're sitting over here. They're painted. So I kind of still prefer them as 2 2-packs, though the 3-pack isn't bad because it does do a bit more. I'm back and forth on that. I don't mind the 3. I thought I would hate the 3. I kind of like the playability of the 2s, but I do think the 3 is pretty good. Double pack Origami Warriors feels really nice. It feels like a fire and forget, but you will make the opponent at least pay for a little bit. I know when I talked about, why is it slipping my mind right now? When I was talking about Strix, I know I wasn't very high up on Strix. I'm still not entirely sure if I am. At least what I like a little bit more about the Origami is they're a little less susceptible to shooting. Lethal Demise only matters if you get in and you want to then get destroyed. Origami Warriors do that a little bit better. So I do like them a little bit more, but the Strix aren't terrible. I know I kind of put them at the bottom, but they're still not terrible. Nothing, I think, in that is really that bad. Or at least they have purposes. The Kitsune with the Kenshubi Dancer, I think right now is my favorite combination. And I think I'm going to keep running it that way until I feel otherwise. I'm back and forth on what type of unit to put her in. I put her in a Kami unit because Oni feels like overkill. I don't necessarily need all that. She's pretty good at fighting. Not that Kami are terrible at fighting compared to Oni. Oni just have better cleave, of course. But she really wants the survivability. I want her sticking around to be able to do her 8 attacks into things. So I do like that bit there. The Kitsune with the Aniami with the Tengu is the spot that makes sense. She actually has a ranged attack and spells, and she doesn't want to get close. They don't want to get close either. Kind of don't necessarily know if I want to put her in any of the particular units. The double pack of Kami I absolutely love. I do think that's actually a really good play. Decent amount of defense, good amount of wounds. Go sit on an objective. Go let other things fight it out. So overall, I did really enjoy the game. It was a great game. It was nice to get a player who hasn't been playing for a little bit, getting back into the game, kind of trying it out again and getting back involved. We're hoping to play just a lot more so this was at Maplewood Hobby. I do play at a variety of other stores. So we're hoping to do a tournament, maybe not too distant future, and just get people playing again. It's one of the games that we really like to push. We have like solid 8 or so of us who have armies, and always easy to get a game if you ask. This week, I was also supposed to hopefully play another game, supposed to play against Dan, but just timing and a few other things just end up not working out. But it's like Easter weekend, stuff happens. What I will say, so sort of closing thoughts. I still like Nords. I think there was a few changes. Have I been piling the list I might have done, and who knows what would have happened. Dice were also dicey. He also had some times when those dice weren't really working out too well for him, but he kept the score super, super close. Yes, the army was gone at the end, but had they stuck around, had anything on his side, like stuck around for an extra turn or so, I lose instead. So it wasn't super high scoring either our parts, but he was able to keep me back for very, very long. So that score was very close. It was a much closer game, yes, I should say it's a much closer game than the board looked at the end. Because I don't have to destroy you. I just have to score more than you. And he was up on me until those last few turns when I was able to essentially max my scores. But I said, had something else gone a little bit differently, had the gold tier, had he taken that initiative, got the gold tier into my other unit, he might end up scoring at least another 2 points for a turn when I scored 2. That might have been enough of a swing. So it was very close. For the army itself, for the Yoroni, so if you're going to play them, I think, so right now it is about mid-April. You need the stuff that's not out yet. You absolutely do need it. If you don't want to do Origami Wars, Damashi, monsters. We don't know when the geisha, the Mahatsu are coming out. We know we've seen them. I'm not a big spider fan personally, but we know we've seen them. But I think you at least need one of the other ones. You need a Genyu no Yokai or a Dai Yokai. Without that, I feel at your really big disadvantage. I'm not saying I can't throw a bunch more stuff in, but I really like what they do. I like what they add, especially when you look at Origami Warriors, especially when you look at Damashi. So, and Kappa as well. We don't even have those technically right now. We're going to have those within about a week. I'm hoping mine arrive pretty soon. I said I'm placing an order. It was at this moment it's been placed, so we'll see when it actually gets to me. But yeah, that's probably why you don't see a lot of it right now, because there's just enough stuff. I don't want, when it's all said and done, I figured out when I have that first player starter, when I compare this list, first player starter, a pack of origami warriors, and one of the monsters is going to make pretty much this list. Because I already have one of the special edition Kitsune. That other box has a Kitsune. It has 3 Kappa. I have a spare. I only used 5 Oni. Ace's 5 Oni. For the Kami, I will end up having 6 Kami at that point. This does not use more than 6. Did it use? Yeah, it used exactly 6. So the list felt pretty good then, but I feel I do need those pieces that are currently missing. If only you need one of those lights, if only to be able to actually fill out your points appropriately. Keep in mind, otherwise your mid stuff's like 75 points. It's really hard to fit things in blocks of 75s and 80s. It's much better when you got a 40 or maybe a 60 that you can kind of put it together. It's unlike other units where like, oh, you got some 100-point units or 120, but you can stack up in 30s or 40s or even 50s. It's tough to stack when you're looking at min 70s, 75s and 80s and stuff like that to be able to do it. So small units feel pretty good. 3 with a character feel pretty good. I've tried bigger. I don't know if you need bigger. Currently, I don't really feel that way, but that might change. I haven't played against every army. I do want to play against a few more. But I do think in the moment, the reason I haven't seen a lot with it, you do need some of the other pieces. I think that's what makes the army sing. When a new army comes out, you always have that sort of issue of you are brand new going against stuff where people have lots of their options. And when you don't, it does hurt. So, you know what? Proxy some stuff. Print out some stuff like this. It works really well. That way I can do that. I know like one of the stores I play at, every store I play at, no one cares if you proxy some stuff, especially while you're waiting for things to come out. But even like some of the tournaments we do at some of those places, we just want people to play. Like we're here for fun. We're not really playing for much of anything other than you get to get 3 games in a day. And I don't know about you, but I don't often get to do that otherwise. So proxy stuff, who cares? Get out there, have fun. If you are enjoying, if you have been playing Yoroni, let me know. Tell me your thoughts. Are you finding that, hey, yeah, I try out some of those units, it works. I'm making it work with just what we have now. What are you finding? Also, let me know. So battle report wise, what other people want to see? Is this style, do people like this style? Does everyone absolutely hate this style? Do you want the long form ones? If you have a good idea of how to take a full battle report and cut it down more than just this way, let me know. I know I've done it in the past, but it's not much different than this. Other than I kind of scrub through the video. But if that's the case, I can start recording it. Then we don't have to worry about the audio over. It's easier to do that way. So just let us know what you think of that. And if you do want to pick up anything for this, we have that discount code. Save yourself 10%, especially in all these unsure times. And like I said, we got quite a bit of this stuff for this coming out. We know we got some new cohort boxes. I do want to start doing some more stuff with First Blood. I played First Blood this week. I do want to talk about that. I'm going to do a separate video kind of talking about just First Blood in general, maybe reviewing that game a little bit, but more just talking about, hey, First Blood, should you play it? The general answer, you have these models, you probably should give it a shot. And then we'll talk about whether or not you might enjoy it. All right, that has been plenty enough for this. Hopefully people find this useful. Thank you to Ernest for playing me in the game. I'm always happy when I get to play some Conquest. I got to play 2 games this week, which is always very nice. Hopefully get to play more once my main part of my work is over and I can record more stuff as well. Because we're actually getting kind of close to finals, which is nice. Although I'm working a whole bunch in the first part of summer. But hey, that's life. All right, well, on behalf of everyone at the show then, have a good hobby and some great gaming.